Hi, everyone. Sorry that I'm late. I tried to be on time. I thought I was going to be on time. Guess what? I think I uncovered CCP's big plan or conspiracy in the Taiwan election in the last 30 minutes. And I even surprised myself. Um, it's just very interesting what I'm going to share with you. I didn't expect that. I thought I wrote the description for tonight's live stream, live stream, and I had to change it last minute because the title and then the description wasn't very fitting. So um, stay with me until the end. All right, so we'll talk about Foxconn's tax probe or investigation and how that's tied to Beijing's, you could say short-term strategy for Taiwan, or you could say its plan on how to manipulate Taiwan's 2024 presidential election. So you might have already known that the Taiwan's general election is less than 3 months away. It's scheduled for January 13th. And but it will be one of the most important elections in 2024 because the result will directly impact the security of the Taiwan Strait and Asian Pacific. And it's also one of the two elections that Beijing cares the most. The other one, of course, is the US presidential election in 2024. That's the background. Now, we also know that Foxconn, Apple's largest manufacturer in China, which has 36 manufacturing campuses um, that provide millions of jobs. Um, it's recently been investigated, and the media that announced the investigation is no other than CCP's own mouthpiece. It's English mouthpiece, the Global Times, and it stated on October 22nd, which is a Sunday, that Foxconn has been subject to tax and land use investigations in a number of locations in China. So its key enterprises in Guangdong and Jiangsu have been subject to tax audits, and the land use of its key locations in Henan, which is Zhengzhou. Remember, this time last year, we heard about the Zhengzhou walkout during zero COVID, the factory that makes iPhone Pro Max. Yeah. So Henan is a major hub. It's a major location for Foxconn. So Henan and Hubei, these two locations have been investigated by the CCP's Natural Resource Department for land use. Now, I just said that this Foxconn employs millions of people in China, and it exports $500 billion worth of electronics annually, which is about half of the total electronic exports that China makes at 1 trillion. So Foxconn alone contributes 50% of China's entire electronic exports. And so its importance to Chinese economy is significant. And there's no Chinese company, or there's no combination of Chinese companies that can replace Foxconn. So Beijing cannot afford to get rid of Foxconn. So its sudden announcement that the company is being investigated was very shocking to many people. So why is that happening? Well, most people have already concluded that it's tied to the 2024 Taiwan election, because Foxconn's founder Terry Kuo, or Guo, depending on how you pronounce that, is running for the president as an independent. So people, I've been reading, all sorts of media reports, even including Western media reports, like Reuters reported that based on its sources, people are saying that. What does it say? Reuters is saying that based on its sources, it's the this investigation is because Beijing is upset with Terry Guo, because what he has been doing in the Taiwan election is helping the DPP candidate to win. Rather, it's not helpful to the Beijing is warning. So according to almost like 90%, 95% of the reports I've been reading today, um, Chinese or non-Chinese, I don't know, including experts like respect very much. Everyone is saying that this is Beijing is sending a signal to Terry Guo, about him not doing a good job in helping Beijing to get the candidate it wants, um, to win this election. That's what everyone is saying. But I'm going to challenge them tonight, because based on what I found, I think it's quite the opposite. And I'll show you why I say that. Even I shock my own, I shock myself with what I found. But okay. So let me just give you a little bit background before we get into that. So that for those of you who don't follow Taiwanese politics, so you understand the significance of this election. So Taiwan since 1996 has had a number of general elections. So the power has altered between the Democratic Progressive Party, or DPP, and Kuomintang, or the KMT. So DPP leans towards independence for Taiwan, whereas KMT favors closer relations with the mainland. That's their main difference. DPP won its first presidential election in 2000, and then after 8 years, Ma Ying-jeou and the KMT won it back for another 2 terms. And during this time, the Taiwanese government got very close with Beijing under Ma Ying-jeou. And then Tsai Ing-wen, the current president, and DPP prevailed in the 2016 and 2020 presidential elections with landslide victories because of KMT's pro-Beijing stance. Has alienated many younger voters who have grown wary of China's aggressive behaviors, especially after they've seen what happened in Hong Kong. So Tsai's vice president and DPP's presidential candidate, William Lai, or Lai Ching-te, is running for president, and he currently leads all candidates in polls. So Lai's victory would mean that he will continue Tsai's policy by working with the United States and its allies, to build up Taiwan's defense. And DPP leaders believe that only when Taiwan is strong and prepared militarily, can it engage in a fair negotiation with Beijing. So Lai's victory would greatly upset Beijing, and Beijing is doing everything it can to stop this guy from winning. So that's just background information. So what Beijing's strategy is, it wants to have a Kuomintang or KMT candidate to win, as Beijing has more influence over the KMT. KMT supports peace initiative and is willing to cooperate with Beijing to avoid a war. It sounds very good, but that whole idea, it's war-averse position precisely falls into CCP's strategic design for the 2024 election. So CCP leadership knows that the PLA isn't ready for a military operation yet. With the level of corruption and the lack of loyalty and the massive in-house cleansing, there's hardware, software issues that we've heard recently, as well as morale issues. So they're not ready in the short term. So what Beijing is doing in the short term is trying to influence the Taiwan 2024 election by sending one of its chosen candidate into the presidential office. A weak and inexperienced Taiwanese leader is even better. So Beijing can coerce him into signing a peace agreement with Beijing that serves as a stepping stone to force Taiwan to return to the mainland. So forcing Taiwan to willingly give up its sovereign right in exchange for peace will forever keep the United States and its allies away from getting involved. And the current KMT candidate, Ho You-yi, let me show you their pictures. I do have their pictures. Add to stage. Here we go. Here are the 4 candidates. So KMT's candidate, Ho You-yi, I put their last name for you. He fits into that profile. He was a former police officer and was the mayor of Xinbei City, which is a satellite city outside Taipei. His lack of experience in international affairs and his lack of personal charisma are costing KMT some voters, but maybe an asset in the eye of Beijing, because Beijing, like I said, is trying to take advantage of KMT's candidate's weakness in international affairs. How Beijing is, by the way, even Xi Jinping's daughter does not like the KMT candidate. I mean, in her X posts, right, Twitter posts, she just, lambasted this candidate. She just does not like him because she thinks he lacks the charisma as a leader. That's just very interesting how CCP's, Xi Jinping's daughter doesn't like this candidate that her father is trying to support to win. Anyways, now in the field, there are 2 other players. One is the founder of TPP, Taiwan People's Party. That's TPP. Ko. And Ko is a doctor turned politician who surprised many people by successfully running for the mayor of Taipei in 2014. And then he won a re-election in 2018. He formed his Taiwan People's Party in 2019. He's social media savvy, and his campaign events attract crowds. He's like a rock concert. He has won many Taiwanese who are tired of the 2 political parties and who desire a middle-of-the-road approach on how Taipei should manage its relations with Beijing. And he calls himself the 3rd force in the presidential election. And of course, there's William Lai, the DPP leader. I already talked about him. He's here. And then there's billionaire Terry Kuo, Foxconn's founder. This is his second attempt to run for president. 4 years ago, when he announced his candidacy, some people believed that he was asked to run by Beijing. His cozy relations with CCP leaders made many people suspicious of his motivation for running for office. At the end of this August, he announced his second run for president. He surprised many people by defiantly stating that if the CCP threatens him with confiscating his assets, he would answer by saying, "Go right ahead," or something to that nature. And he's willing to lose what he has to be the president of Taiwan. And foreign media calls Terry Kuo Beijing's biggest hostage on earth because he has many assets trapped in China. Anyways, so I've introduced the 4 candidates. Now, CCP's propaganda has been framing the DPP candidate, Vice President William Lai, a pro-war candidate, and the KMT candidate, Ho, as pro-peace candidate. So it's by framing them, it's trying to ensure a KMT win by claiming that way Taiwan would avoid a war. Now, we know KMT's chance to win isn't promising at all, because I'm going to show you the poll. And it has been like that for a while. So William Lai enjoys a considerable lead. And if you look at the other three candidates, they're close. And so Beijing's strategy now is force the KMT candidate and the TPP candidate to create an alliance. So by joining forces between KMT and the TPP, that's Ho and Co, they have a better chance to beat out William Lai. But the negotiation between the two parties have not gone on too well. And that's been what's happening up until this investigation into Foxconn. So here's the question: why does Beijing decide to crack down on Foxconn? Right? How does that tie to Beijing's overall strategy in manipulating Taiwan's election? So there are two theories. I'll tell you what the majority of top China experts have been saying. 95% of them are saying this. In fact, more than 95. I have not seen anyone who, the only people, average readers or average social media users have just dropped comments here and there. They're a little suspicious of the conclusions, but there really isn't anyone who has said anything different from this. But the majority of them are saying that when billionaire Terry Gao announced in August that he would join the race, he made the situation worse for KMT, and the CCP is upset with him because Cao was affiliated with KMT before, and he had hoped to run as a KMT candidate, but KMT didn't pick him. But they picked a former police officer, Ho. And this infuriated the billionaire, who apparently has a big ego. And so he decided to run as an independent. With him running as an independent, he would further divide the KMT voters. You see, his 11.6%, he's taken away 11.6% from Ho, from the other voters who are in the middle, right? So people are saying that this got CCP very upset because he is causing more divisions within the KMT camp. And that's why the CCP decided to teach him a lesson by investigating his companies. And the other worry the CCP has, according to these China experts, is that if the billionaire form an alliance with Dr. Ko, the TPP leader, without the KMT, then then KMT is totally left out with no chance to win at all. And this would make Beijing worry. So that's why Beijing is upset. And their proof of evidence to substantiate their claim is a comment made by CCP's Director of Taiwan Affairs. His name is Song Tao. This guy, who heads up the Taiwan affairs, had warned Taiwanese politicians publicly with some tough words at the end of August, right around the time when Terry Gao announced his candidacy. So he said, this Song Tao guy said, if you betray your benefactors, you will be punished by heaven and earth. And most China experts believe that those harsh words, were addressed to the billionaire to warn him, because he has benefited from the CCP, right? So that's why they think that the CCP is upset with Terry Gao. And they claim that CCP is determined to enforce a KMT win by consolidating all three opposition forces using whatever means it's possible. So they figure that if they consolidate, the votes that support Ho, that supports Kuo, and supports Ko, then they can beat out Lai, and that's CCP's strategy in ensuring a win. Um, okay. What? Okay. So today, now, why there has been some development. I told you that um, the two sides have been negotiating um, intensely, trying to create an alliance, the KMT and the DPP, but no agreement has been created. They just can't. They don't see eye to eye. The second runner-up, I shouldn't say runner-up, they haven't voted yet. So the two candidates who both have 17% of the support in the current polls, the CCP is trying to force them to create an alliance, but they can't agree on the terms. Today, the shocking news that came out today is the KMT candidate, Ho, has publicly said that he's willing to run as the vice president, candidate with Ko. He's willing to lower himself as to run as the vice president if the two sides can join their forces together. I mean, that's really shocking because KMT has ruled Taiwan for decades, whereas TPP has only been around since 2019, and its leader, this doctor, his political career started in 2014 when he ran for the mayor of Taipei, and he has been doing that for 8 years. That's his entire political career. His political party hasn't been around for more than 4 years, 5 years. And now the KMT, the almighty KMT candidate, is willing to run as his vice president. And that just shows you how desperate the KMT is. Whoever is behind Ho Youyi, whoever is behind Ho, because Ho is not a very strong candidate, but whoever is behind him, is supporting him, is telling him to negotiate. They have to come up with a deal in order to win. However, such a generous offer isn't well received by candidate Ko Wen-jie, who had a press conference today and criticized KMT for bullying the public and hiding a trap. He called that a trap. He said, it feels like the big party, meaning the KMT, is bullying the small party, that's his party. The fact is, he said, it feels like a forced marriage. And Ko is in fact angry because the premise of Ho being his deputy is to force him to agree to vote in open primaries. So the KMT is proposing open primaries in exchange for Ho, running as his deputy, and Ko calling that a trick, and he is angry. He's not happy with that. So that's the latest development today. But that just at least shows you the force behind the candidates is so eager. I should say the forces behind the candidates are so eager to help the KMT win. And they've had roadblocks. Okay, so that's the first theory. Now, the second explanation of why Foxconn is being investigated or reprimanded by Beijing through this tax or land use probe, it's related to Terry Gao and his intention to run for the president. 4 years ago, when he ran for office, people questioned his motivation, and many people believe that CCP was behind him. Now, Kuo had famously said that the market, when people challenge his motherland, you know, he said the market is his motherland. He claimed he's a businessman, and wherever the market is, that's where his motherland. That's where his motherland is. That's where his loyalty is. Um, but his biggest markets are China and the United States. So his motherland is China and the United States. What made him suddenly interested in Taiwan politics? You know, that's question number one. And if his business is most prone to the condition of Sino-US relations, and his biggest markets are the United States and China, right? Because he makes all these Apple products for American company. So must be, he will have one of the most difficult jobs in the world in today's geopolitical tension, right? Why would a businessman like him want to have that job? So, and also he doesn't strike some people as someone who's passionate about having a political vision for Taiwan. I mean, there's a difference between someone who's really passionate about, wanting to build a future for Taiwan, or at least he has a vision. Whether you agree with his vision, that's one thing, but he has a vision and he wants to make that reality. He doesn't strike people as someone who has that vision. So he felt like he's a little bit forced. So that's last time. And this time he ran again. And so the second theory is, some people think that the reason Foxconn is being investigated is because CCP designed a 苦肉计. In Chinese, it's 苦肉计. In English, it's the ruse of inflicting an injury to oneself or to the candidate in order to win the trust of the enemy or the bystanders or the people, the onlookers, the people who watch, right? It's one of the 36 stratagems in the book, 36计, the 36 stratagems. It's like, the beauty trap, and then we have the 36 strategies. And this is one of them. It's basically, you hurt yourself to show loyalty to your enemy or to someone that you want to gain trust. So by punishing his company, and then having him respond defiantly, Beijing is helping Terry Guo gain trust with the Taiwanese voters. Because Terry Gao's biggest liability is he's too close to the CCP power circles. He's too close to the CCP leadership. So according to Reuters, more than one company has been subject to tax audits in this campaign, but only Foxconn has been exposed for reasons that have to do with political factors. And the source to Reuters also said that the audit was a warning to Foxconn, especially as Foxconn's founder is running for presidential election. And it was unlikely to be a coincidence that CCP's official media announced that Foxconn had been hit with just a tax audit. This is Reuters. Now, we read this, we read coverage about CCP, you have to really ask yourself a lot of questions. You know how CCP is so covert about its intention in any media? Why? Like it said, Foxconn is the only company that the CCP that has been exposed for reasons other than political. See, it's almost like Beijing deliberately released the information that Foxconn is being investigated because its founder is running for president in Taiwan. Like if you read, that's the message that I got. because that's not what Beijing would typically do, because it covers up everything. It covers up its in every intention, even though, it's not like a big deal, but it will cover up everything. But this time it does not. It deliberately wants to release that information. What I found most shocking was mainland Chinese media. How mainland Chinese media reported Terry Gao's announcement for his second run for president. And I'll share with you how these mainland Chinese reported that. And I think they're just eye-opening and self-explanatory. Okay, where am I? Okay, let me make this bigger. Maybe, oh yeah, here, this is better. So this is on NetEase. This is mainly Chinese media. Okay, the title is, what does the title say? The title says, "Huge change in Taiwan leadership election. Kuo declares that he would prevent mainland reunification at the cost of losing wealth and business." Okay. And then, I'm just translating and say, in his statement announcing his candidacy, Kuo expressed his firm position. He said that he would never allow China to unify Taiwan, even if it meant sacrificing his entire fortune. This bold statement sent shockwaves through Taiwanese community and caused voters to pay close attention to Kuo's determination and resolve. I mean, it goes on and on. Guess what? There's not a word of condemnation. There's not a word of like, I mean, here you have a Taiwanese candidate vowing he would never allow China to unify Taiwan, and yet a mainland Chinese media report it as matter of fact, and it's actually very positive. If you read the whole piece, I mean, it's more positive than what I translate, and I just couldn't understand. And there's another one. Here's another piece. The title is same title, huge change. And then it says the political stage in the Taiwan province welcomed a new wave of change, catching people's attention. This change came from a press conference, and the person who gave the press conference is billionaire Terry Gao. I mean, the translation is not accurate enough to give you the positive air of the wording. If you read Chinese, you could appreciate the Chinese is so positive. And I sat there when I read this about 45 minutes ago. I'm like, what is this? Like, how much attack CCP has given to William Lai and Tsai Ing-wen, accuse them to be separatist. They have never said that they will do anything. I mean, I don't think Tsai Ing-wen or William Lai have said anything publicly that they would never allow a unification. And yet they were being accused and attacked and bullied, right? And here you have this billionaire running for president and making this statement. And the CCP mainland Chinese media is saying, oh, it's just a new wave of change. And it's welcomed. The Taiwan, it's so positive. And that's my proof, ladies and gentlemen. That's my proof that this is not accident, because anyone who dared to publish this piece is seriously not politically correct. If it's not being endorsed by some kind of authorities higher up, they would not publish a piece like this. It's causing them big trouble. So what does that tell you? Terry Gao's lofty words actually don't mean much anything, because he was caught on video saying that he does not have any, not even a penny, as personal asset in China. He says he has not even a penny in China. He has no land, no real estate, not even a penny. He was caught on video saying that. and his personal investments are all in the US, Japan, and EU. He really doesn't worry about the CCP shutting him down. And he said, if CCP dared to confiscate his factories, no one would ever invest in China. So here you have this guy saying all these very bold statements and not worrying about losing his business in China. And he's saying that he would never allow Taiwan unification, and the Chinese mailing media is saying, "Oh, okay, it's a change. Let's see what happens. Let's see how Taiwanese respond to that." Why? Right? That proves that the investigation into Foxconn is the Kuroji, is the CCP strategy of inflicting wound on the candidate to gain trust from the voters, so that people would not see him as pro China, and that's all by design. And actually, I'm very surprised. And these articles are sitting on the internet for so long. I mean, they have been there since the end of August. As soon as they have been there since the end of August, as soon as Terry Gao announced his candidacy. So they've been there for months. I'm just surprised that no one figured it out. But yeah, I think this solves the mystery of why Foxconn is suddenly being investigated by the CCP at the risk of alienating foreign companies, right? So here's my take. Here's my take of what CCP's real strategy is. Now, I think CCP realizes that for KMT to win this election is difficult. Of course, I mean, you see the poll, and to have the KMT form an alliance with the TPP candidate is also difficult because the two sides don't see eye to eye. So now its best choice is having a third candidate, which is under CCP's control. And then he can form alliance with the other two. So if he can form an alliance with the TPP candidate, the doctor, the former mayor of Taipei, that's still a win for the CCP. So CCP is trying to influence as many, by installing another candidate that the CCP can control. It offers Beijing more combination, right? Because they know one candidate alone cannot win. So now you have, more than two candidates. So any combination will maximize CCP's chance of controlling who will be in the presidential office starting in 2024. So I think that's CCP's strategy, because it sees that KMT may not have a chance to win. So this is my conclusion after uncovering these media articles. And again, that's just my personal theory. Who am I to to know what it is? But in my mind, it's logical. It explains what I'm seeing. But again, that's just my personal view. So that's all. All right. Let's see. Let's see if people have questions for me. All right, let me go through the super chats question first. I've Brian Cow. Well, your name is very similar. I almost like, do we have another candidate by the name of Cow? We have Ko, we have Kuo, and we have Cow. But thank you for the donation, Brian. Thank you. All right. Boy Kachina, thank you. Thank you for the message. All right, let me see if people have questions for me. Okay, Nick Furry. There was a story of a Chinese general who cut off his one of his arms to be showing his new enemy master that he had truly defected so as to spy on them. Yeah, that's the this strategy or stratagem is very famous. A lot of it's unfortunately it's well practiced. I'm not I don't know which Chinese general you referred to. Maybe there were people like that during the revolution, early days of the revolution, but there are definitely stories like that. Yeah, both in throughout history and also in recent history. Okay. uh可爱的小猫猫 USA says lovely kitten USA. That's the name. Hello, greeting from Chile. It's far away, but I love learning about China. I hope you are fine. Oh, I'm fine. I'm very fine at this moment. Sumiland, thank you. Oh, thank you, Sumiland. Brian Smith, welcome, Chileans. Yes, welcome. Um, Okay, any questions? I'm just gonna pick some random questions. For me, if it's a for me, please put my name in front so I know it's for me. Mitsu, I mean, do Taiwanese commonly do that research? What research? What kind of research? You mean the research that I do? I don't think so. Um, I mean, you have to be very aware of what CCP is up to. Right? You have to be very you have to be very you want to be on top of everything that CCP does or doesn't do and trying to understand what its intention is in meddling the Taiwan election, to be mindful of this kind of details. Um, so I don't think average Taiwanese are going to do that kind of research. Brian Smith say, wait, you mean someone running for president might actually want to undermine their democratic system? Gee, I've never seen anything like that before. Well, the billionaire said his market is his motherland, and his market is China and the US. So, um, so all right, let's see. Elizabeth Loveland. Well, thank you, Elizabeth. You nailed their strategy. Two chances are better than one. Yes. And I'm saying that the third candidate, Dr. Ko, I just haven't got time to really research on him to see what CCP's plan is on him. But I read that he is a little bit emotional and he could be a little impatient. He like the media report him as like a rock star. And so that could become his weakness. I'm sure the CCP is studying how they can, you know, like control him once, but he's alone, he's not going to win. So he would have to partner with either Ho or Kuo, right? The other two candidates to win. So as long as you know there's someone else there, then maybe they can, they can, you know they can control him. I'm sure they're studying him as well, but the other two are the primary focus of Beijing. Marcus Wilson, do you know about this China? Yes, I know. Li Shangfu is formally announced that he's removed. His three positions, all three titles is removed. As defense minister, as state counselor, and also as a member of the Central Military Commission. All three are gone. So he's formally in trouble. But we knew that, right? We knew that a couple of months ago. He's out. It's just they have to announce that because there's an event coming up where the defense minister would have to represent China to attend. So if China wouldn't, they would have to announce. They haven't announced the replacement, but there are a few candidates that they're talking about. Anyway, we can give Taiwanese the heads up. Yeah, by spreading this video, I guess. Brian Smith, I find the names and party initials a little confusing. It's just my observation. Yes. You have the DPP, you have the TPP, and then you have another PP. But they stand for Democratic Progressive Party. That's DPP. And then Kuomintang is pretty unique. And then TPP is Taiwan People's Party. Yeah, it's a mouthful. I agree. And their name is confusing. There are a lot of K's. um, Packer Jib. What is your viewership in Taiwan or know people that forward your posts? I don't know, not a whole lot, but I have some very loyal viewers in Taiwan because I target English speaking audiences. So, so my audience in Taiwan is not very big, but hopefully they're important enough to spread the word. Okay. Ted Huang. Most Taiwanese are not aware of evil intentions since we have been brainwashed to be Chinese. Naturally, many confuse CCP with China and identify themselves as Chinese, believing that invasion is good. Yeah, that's the CCP's brainwashings. CCP is only a political party. It does not equate to China. It does not represent all of the Chinese people, right? I mean, just like one political party does not represent the United States, you know, a political party can come and go, a political leader can come and go, but the country stays. So, what is TPP? Taiwan People's Party. It's the new party. It's called the third force. It's the third force in the Taiwan election. And then the candidate that founded this party was former Taipei mayor Ko Wen-je, and he is running for president right now. Ko is his last name. Moonwalker, in your personal opinion, do you think Joe Biden is compromised by the CCP in any way? He can be because of his family, his son's business with the Chinese. His son is involved some activities that wouldn't make Joe Biden very proud, right? His videos, his computer, his laptop. I mean, all of that was not talked about. But Hunter Biden obviously has, I mean, the CCP has evidence, has information and materials about Joe Biden's son that could be detrimental to Joe Biden, and that could be a weakness to Joe Biden. Yeah. But I don't think Joe Biden is the only one. I think there are other US politicians who are in the same situation as Joe Biden. Yeah. Other ones who have family members that who have been actively involved in China business are in the same boat. So he's not alone. There are many others. As long as they have family members or they themselves have been involved in some kind of China business, then they have great risk of being compromised. And the reason is CCP targets these people. It's not because they just accidentally fall into CCP's trap. CCP has been purposefully designing traps to target these US politicians and their families, sometimes not directly at themselves, but their family members. They've been doing that for a long time. And how can you not know? How can you not fall into that? I mean, you have to be, you have to be someone with a very high sense of moral integrity to not fall into that. And I just question how many people can really, you know, turn away from money, from, I mean, from a beautiful woman that you run into that's not that everything happens so naturally and the woman is fascinated in you, she's so beautiful you can't resist her. I mean, all these things are setups, but how do you know, and how many people can really resist that? That's my question. And that's what I say, because I know how CCP design these things, and I know how Westerners often fall into that. So that's what I say. He's not the only one. And the CCP knows that. All right. From Can You Catch Me One. I'm from Taiwan and I will spread your message. Well, thank you. Thank you. I did not know I was going to come across this. When I saw the media reports and start reading, I'm like, this doesn't look right. Okay. The English version is reverse psychology. Okay. All right. Well, thank you. From Frank CE. Do mainland Chinese understand how to live a life as a free person? A friend's father visited from China, complained about life here for 3 days. After that, something happened. Um, no, a lot of Chinese, when they move here, they complain about life in America because they don't understand what freedom is. They miss that. They miss the city, especially people from large cities. They miss that city life. I think the only place they probably won't feel left out is New York City. um, so a lot of Chinese will feel like, oh, it's so boring. It's like a countryside. There's nothing. I don't even see a person, and I'm going to be home, like all by myself, or only, the only person I see is my family. So that's what makes them feel very lonely and left out once they move here. I don't know if that's the experience of your friend's father, but that's what that's the problem most Chinese have when they move over here initially. All right. Let's see. Oh, my friend's father met other elderly Chinese and they started discussing issues in China and realized he wasn't afraid to share his ideas. Some of them are not afraid, but some of them are still very afraid. They're so afraid. The reason they're afraid is because they would still have to go back to China. They have families living in China, and their only communication channel with their family members in China is WeChat, and they know WeChat is a spyware. So they're afraid. They're afraid to say anything, even here, because they know WeChat is listening. And the only reason is they still have to go back to China because the families are there. I think it's very sad. It is very sad. We should not allow WeChat to be running in this country because it's capturing data of our citizens and it's spying on our citizens. Skunks riot. If the CCP collapses and Mao will deface at yuan's currency, what would you suggest for a new design of China's paper bills? Well, there are many Chinese heroes and heroines throughout history. I mean, Confucius, Lao Tzu. There are many great emperors throughout Chinese history. Mulan, for example. I mean, why not? These are all great individuals throughout Chinese histories. Why not use them on the face of Chinese currency? Why Mao? All right. Yeah. All right. That seems to be all. I will end it here, and I thank you for joining me. Um, from Mitsu, can you blame the ones who moved to the U.S.? The cities in Taiwan are open 24/7 compared to the U.S. Can you blame the ones who moved to the U.S.? I didn't I didn't blame the ones who moved to the U.S. What do you mean, blame the ones? I mean, I blame the ones who are afraid to speak up. No, I'm not blaming them. I understand where they're coming from. They're just scared of CCP. So I'm not quite sure if maybe I missed the point of your question. Um, Frank C. He told the son he now wanted to move here. Now, Chinese, have you seen the chart? The word immigration has surged so much in the past couple of days. It went off the roof on Google, not Google search, on Baidu, because everyone is searching how to leave China. So now, yeah. All right. Thank you, everyone. And thank you, Sumilin, for getting people organized. And I'll see you next time. Okay, good night and good day. Bye bye.